welcome back for the 7th time to your new favorite Magic the Gathering Mono Black Draft Chaft themed podcast, Bogstompers. We are your hosts of the coast. Everybody go round table, introduce yourselves. I will start. My name is Joe Joseph Joey. Any of those would be fine. I use he, him pronouns. And as we learned during the audio tests, we're all arranged vertically on our screens. So let's go one square up on this little Brady Bunch. I would say pyramid or cube or some interesting shape, but it's just a line. So, Ev, if I'm the Chaldaya of our new Capenna here, you can be the Metzio, and then we'll reach Bobby's Park Heights later. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Evan or Ev. I use he, him pronouns. And I believe I also pictured in the audio test that we are in fact recording from a triple bunk bed. And so I'm hanging out here in the middle bunk, keeping Joe and Bobby from hurting each other with their hands as they argue about Magic the Gathering cards. Mm-hmm. Above me, on the Park Heights of our bunk bed, the top bunk up there, Bob, you want to introduce yourself?
It's me. It's Bobby. I use they and he pronouns. The Sky Knight's Airy to Joe's Undercity, because New Capenna is just, knockoff Ravnica. We all know that. But we have important business to get down to. We're not just talking about New Capenna. What are we talking about today, Ev?
What are we talking about today? That's a great question. Today is not an episode that I came up with, admittedly. I believe it was sort of pitched in conjunction, all three of us here together. But today, each of us will be pitching our idea for a new plane or new set that will present itself in the Magic the Gathering years to come, of course intertwined with our Universes Beyond pitches from a previous episode, which you should go listen to or watch at your leisure, as the new rotation for sets seems to be. But today, we will be staying within universes and within the multiverse of Magic, although within our own creations. So, Bobby, I believe you have a plane you would like to pitch to me and Joe here as we get started on our journey across the Bogstompers multiverse when Wizards of the Coast gives us full reign of a year of Magic designs.
Yeah, so as we roll the planar die here, chaos will not ensue, and instead I'd like to welcome Evan and Joe and our wonderful subscribers at home to the plane of abandon, a plane with a history time forgot, a name time forgot. This is Abandon. The End of History would be the name of the set that I'm proposing, though I have to imagine the plane's name would undergo some sort of change as we get into proper world building and story design. But this is a plane that kind of takes place at the end of a high fantasy world. There's some magical apocalypse that has sprung about, and now various factions are vying for control and vying for survival as we kind of head into the end times. Now, this is inspired by a lot of Magic the Gathering properties that we've seen before. Maybe something like Ice Age, which is maybe the closest thing we have. I know that a lot of people are clamoring for a return to high fantasy Magic the Gathering. We've done a lot of themed sets recently, people wearing cowboy hats, people in space. But I really want to get down to what to some people makes magic, but then put a spin on that and kind of offer commentary on how that was the past. That isn't exactly standing anymore, and we've ascended into something new. This kind of dark end time, end of history thing, but there's still hope and brightness and potential in this new future of Abandon. We've seen Magic foray into this realm a little bit in things like Fallout. Maybe you could connect this to something like Innistrad, but I think this is its own unique thing. Secret cabals of wizards who perhaps plotted the downfall of our world, various elementals and beasts rising up out of the ashes of a war-torn place, various clans moving across what is now the wasteland. And this, in fact, is a 3-color set. Now, you at home might be wondering, is this, shards? Is this wedges? We know Bobby really likes Tarkir. However, this plane includes white, black, red, the Mardu, blue, black, green, Sultai, blue, red, green, Temur. But it also includes white, blue, black, Esper, and white, red, green, Naya. this shift in what we'd normally recognize in the color pie as wedges and shards kind of mirrors how the alliance between various colors has shifted as those remnants of the past are not so core to this plane's identity as they might be core to other planes' identities. This is still color balanced so that these factions could work against each other, but it offers something different, it offers something new, which I think this plane needs to embrace. This is really key and tied into what this world represents. But as I go into what cards we might see, Joe, Evan, are there any things that initially come to mind as you're thinking about this kind of like apocalyptic high fantasy world that I'm kind of pitching you?
I do have a question.
Yes.
What makes this different from Grixis?
Yes, I think that's an important question. So in my mind, Grixis is not really something that exists. Like Alara is now fused. It's not something that's totally whole anymore. I also think that there are different parts to this world, and I think Grixis is more of a hellscape than this will be. I picture this as more of a wasteland. There is not much here. There are very few creatures, and what creatures there are struggling to survive and struggling to not just live in this darkness and not just thrive in this darkness, but create something new, create some new sort of history. Where Grixis is very concerned with big giant zombie monsters, this is more like what new things are going to arise, what great beasts. And I think that actually leads into some of the mechanics for this world. This is a set that's sort of tied to the graveyard, but rather than using the graveyard as a necessarily like a resource like with Delve or something or Renew, it is all about Unearth and Flashback. This is really the alternate casting cost plane is kind of what is uniting these mechanics. I don't think these mechanics will stay to the 3-color archetypes. I think they're going to kind of be spread about. But what I have written down is there's Unearth, there's Flashback, and then there's Emerge, Populate, and Offspring. I think these are 5 mechanics that work really interestingly together, either with cards that care about alternate casting costs, cards that care, such as Emerge. I think the combination of Emerge, Populate, and Offspring is particularly interesting to me. You create an Offspring which has the same converted mana cost, and then you emerge out of that 1/1 into something new, kind of representing various cultists that you might find on this plane who are trying to resummon some great thing to protect them and offer them a home in this world.
So this is the plane about killing children.
Yes, sacrificing your offspring for bigger guys.
Understood. Yeah. I do have one follow-up question.
Yeah.
We're talking about inspirations, things. You mentioned Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
Was this also based off of your favorite plane from your favorite set, Gastall, which was featured pretty heavily in Aether Drift?
Well, I've never heard of this plane. Show me what is
Gastall?
I'm so sorry. What is Aether Drift? I have never heard of this. Is this
it took place on a Vishkar.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it took place on a Vishkar, but it was sort of foreshadowed by Akul. Akul, the scorpion dragon from Thunder Junction.
Yes, I mean I know Thunder Junction.
Yeah, him. He's from Gastall, and then in Aether Drift, the multiversal planar race that we all are huge fans of.
Yeah, I'll believe you.
We saw teams from Gastall, and they're kind of from like a post-apocalyptic, war-torn world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, admittedly, I pictured this a little less Mad Maxy, and I'm trying to think of exactly like a 1-to-1 analog for.
I get the vibe you're going for.
Yeah,
I also get the vibe you're going for. I just want to give you shit.
No, fair.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I just want to fuck with you.
Yeah. We should talk about Gastall.
I just want to mention Gastall.
Joe, can you write a quick parody of Gaston, but using Gastall instead?
I'll work on it.
Okay, thanks, buddy.
We will, but we can't share it, so we're not sued by Disney. We're not big enough for that yet.
It's parody.
Yeah.
There's some parody's fine, right?
Yeah,
Good
we
point,
can hold
good
up a
point.
court against the juggernaut of Disney copyright
Yeah,
laws.
we'd be fine.
Once we start the
I would say
Patreon and we have enough money for the
once we have the
Patreon,
Patreon, true.
we'll use that for our lawyers.
I do think the idea of broaching like a world archetype that has not yet been like really tackled in Magic is interesting, because I think we're seeing it done well enough now currently with Edge of Eternities, at least with the start of the story and what we have seen thus far. I feel positively about it. I like the writing in it, and I know people were trepidatious about them approaching sci-fi and like intertwining it with having it feel like Magic. At least for me though, what I'm reading currently, I'm like, okay, this is still interesting. This still has its like some of its historical roots in the lore of Magic through the Planeswalker's Guide as they discuss different things.
Yeah.
While still being like its own thing. And I think this is an interesting pitch for the same reason, where you can go and do this high fantasy and have it be in this like post-apocalyptic wasteland, and have it feel very unique, but still like rooted in the lore history of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah. For context, some card inspiration I was looking at. There's this card, Brackwater Elemental, which has Unearth. I believe this is from Conflux originally. It's a 3-mana 4/4. When it attacks or blocks, sacrifice it at the end of turn. But I kind of think of this as something that kind of survives the apocalypse. Let's say there's only several dozen like humanoid species that are out there surviving, maybe some high up wizards, maybe some remnants scattered across the wastes. So now they're having to contend with these beasts that are more elementals of things and remnants left over from society than anything else. I imagine adventurers wandering through old cities and fighting the elementals of various sewers and buildings that have come to life in decay, trying to hold on to the memory of what was previously there. Every set is now headlined by a planeswalker, at least one, and I was thinking, hey, what planeswalker calls this plane maybe not home, but is the focus, appears on the box art? The initial thing I got was Ashiok. I think they would be a really cool representative of this plane, someone who deals in memory, someone who deals in dream, and they could be this interloper here. But I actually think that the more interesting answer is Quintorius. Quintorius is someone who's obsessed with history and also does graveyard shenanigans, and I think it would be really cool if Quintorius is kind of at the center of the story and perhaps is, with the white-red identity, is more excited about recovering this history and maybe starting over and redoing the past. But there are various forces in the story that are initially presented as villains and maybe turn out to be the heroes that are like, no, we can move on, we can grow, we can change, we can learn from the past and do things differently in the future. I think this set would kind of be like almost a meta commentary on how this plane is similar enough to planes like Dominaria, but then continues to be different. It is playing around with a weird design space of creature tokens and copying something that we haven't seen before in old Dominaria, but it turns it and it makes it into something new. These classic mechanics of Flashback and Unearth are driven into kind of a new domain as they emerge into something greater. But yeah, I have
nice one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is tight. I like it.
Oh, I was talking about your little pun.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was company body's idea and writing prowess.
Puns are writing
Hey,
prowess.
other magic mechanic. Not gonna be on this plane from what I gather, but
yeah, probably not. But yeah, I don't know if anyone has any questions. I haven't actually designed too many like card ideas or anything, but I'm sure I'm flashing various art inspirations. I'm sure there's some like killer pieces by Dominic Mayer in this set, but when are there not?
It is kind of funny because me and Ev have talked a little bit about our plans for this episode privately, just how different of a direction you took.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. I think it's great that our listeners are now able to enter this episode and see that we do actually have some wit on the payroll of this podcast before me and Ev just trample it with some insane garbage.
I appreciate it. No, I was really worried coming on and being like, okay, there's so many like high concept designs in Magic now, and I'm pitching very like a weird magical world that the hook is kind of just like post-apocalypse. But I think the pitch is like, this is the edgelord plane. There, you just get to throw every edgy card on this plane. I found this card called Hell's Thunder. It's 3 mana, flying haste elemental, 4/4. At the beginning of your end step, you sacrifice it, and it has Unearth for 5. I've never seen this card before. It's brilliant. Sorry to just keep bringing up Grixis cards, as Joe compared this to Grixis earlier, but it works.
I love
Speaking of Hells.
And so you keep putting me like, I've never seen this card, and I've looked at this one on Scryfall when I've been trying to put together on Earth. I've seen Hell's Thunder. I've seen Brackwater Elemental. Hells?
Speaking of Hells, yes. Before we jump away from I'm thinking of Hell's Caretaker, like my favorite card in the entire world. It's so cool. That's a similarly very edgy card. That doesn't quite. I guess it fits this plane because you sacrifice tokens and you can bring stuff back from the graveyard. If there are so many.
Yeah, definitely.
Tokens floating around. Granted, Magic doesn't really talk about Hell anymore because it's a real canon plane that they kind of fail to avoid retconning out of existence.
I could definitely see like they reprint these 2 cards and there is like an area of this plane that people refer to as Hell because it is just kind of overrun with whatever manner of horrors and beasties that may have started this or come about after this whole shenanigans and kind of the fall of civilization here. But are we ready to roll the planar dice and move on to see what you guys have in store for us?
So
let's maybe planeswalk.
Let's see what Joe's got in store for us.
I'm going for me next.
Let's roll that dice, yes.
Yeah.
All right, chaos might ensue here, and if it does...
I think it will.
If it does, I just gotta say, hold on to your hats. Make sure they go with you. So, friends, Ravnican's countrymen, we are all assembled here at the end of a new era for Magic, where unforeseen design spaces are explored, everything from the American frontier to the frontier of the vast darkness of space. And in these different planes, using my very scholarly academic source of some guy's Reddit poll, we have learned the top 2 most recent planes that have gotten any amount of popularity are Duskmourn and Mornborough. Is this because they don't whitewash the genocide of indigenous peoples? Is this because all the other recent planes aren't released yet, so people haven't had time to fall in love with them? Who can say? But if Duskmourn and Mornborough are both really, really popular, maybe, just maybe, we need to release a plane that takes the best elements of both of these beautiful narratives and turns them into something unique. I'm calling it Mornborough. That's Mornborough. I've just flashed the my art for
they're seeing it.
The packaging. And
this looks like every startup I've seen ever.
And my podcast co-hosts are losing their shit.
I'm gonna trash your graphic design a little bit, but we can keep going.
We'll get into that. Its set symbol might also give a bit more of a clue on what's going on with this plane. So I'll just share that as well. Uncentered, so Bobby's gonna have to recrop that in post.
Great. No, they're seeing it uncentered.
Yeah, they get it that way.
Perfect. So
set symbol looks good. Set symbol looks good. Good job. I like that.
Are you ready for my pitch?
Yes.
I have it prepared. I've sat down and I've written this pitch.
Great. Read it.
Get in character.
Mark Rosewater, take notes. Notes.
Magic the Gathering introduces Mornborough, Follow Grist and Jace, he got better, as they try to uncover the secrets of the Fomori or some other shit in suburbia. Set in a plain-wide middle-class American household, Grist will have to navigate the political tensions between the diverse arthropod species inhabiting the backyard, from the lion-eater chantry to the Silksong rumor weavers. What the fuck is Hollow Knight? Taking cues from properties like Grounded, A Bug's Life, and Ants, I assume, I haven't seen that one, get ready to see what all the buzz is about in a set quite unlike anything Magic's ever seen before. Jace spends most of the set also trying to get really into the equivalent in universe properties of Doom and Twin Peaks, and he's just like me for real. This plane doesn't work like other planes in the multiverse that are similar to it. Bloomborough. Jace is just a human man living in this singular house and apartment in suburban America. Do we want to talk about maybe the card designs that I've prepared?
Oh no.
I should say. Let me be clear. I prepared the lore. I prepared the
Yeah.
lore. I haven't prepared the mechanics for these card
Sure.
designs.
I first of all would like to say that I think that the Silksong Rumor Weavers is one of the best jokes you've written in a while, and then you can continue on to talk about your designs.
So, I will say this is heavily weighted in favor of my favorite one that I immediately thought of, and then the rest are kind of just thrown together. But this is a 2-color plane. Is it an allied colors, an enemy colors set? I don't know. I've only prepared the enemies. Maybe the allies sneak in and also have 5 unique factions. In the beginning, we have the Lion Eater Chantry, which I mentioned. These guys are in Boros, and they are bee paladins. They are inspired by the World of Warcraft Cinder Bees, because I looked at them earlier this morning and I was like, those are tight as hell looking. Their main right of triumph to protect the smaller bugs, like the locusts and ants of the plane, is they go and they hunt the ant lions, and that's what they get their name from. The ant lions that live in the sandbox. They're also inspired by Samson's riddle from the Bible. We all know Samson's riddle from the Bible, right?
You know I don't.
Probably.
Okay, we're not going to get into this too much. Basically, the answer to Samson's fucked up, crazy riddle that makes no goddamn sense is bees build a hive in the corpse of a lion, and that's why honey comes from the strong. Which is a crazy ass riddle. But you know, it's the Bible. Stuff happens in there. Shout out to my boy Jesus Christ. Next up on the list, we have the Silksong Rumor Weavers. They're in Golgari. They are the spider oracles and rogues of the plane. They are misleading. They trick others with their nefarious false signposts known as silk posts. They do all kinds of subterfuge and misdirection. And they also exist to make sure that our big, beautiful baby girl, Shelob, gets more support in Commander. This might be every single other person's favorite group on this plane, because it kind of fucks really hard. But without any other further stalling, we have the Goo Review. They're in Simic. They are snail and slug jazz musicians, and they also have their fair share of oozes. This is a source for the bonus sheet. Is going to have all kinds of similar cards themed after them, like Void Slime and Lingering Denial and other stuff that sort of fits the Simic-y, gooey vibe. Next up, we have the Bloodletters Guild. They're in Orzhov. They're leeches, and they have the types Vampire, Cleric, and now in universe Doctor. I kind of pictured them as Mafia style at first, but over time I'm like, maybe the leeches are good. Maybe the leeches are a force for good in this universe. Also, the worms are there, and they're in Izzet. I don't fucking know what they're all about. They're just Izzet worms. Which,
Probably
that all being said, I don't know.
Yeah, just Spellslinger. I think you could do a different insect for Izzet. I'll
No,
think
you
about
couldn't.
it while you talk. No?
You couldn't for this reason. The creature types of this plane are insect, spider, snail, slug, worm, and leech. These are the only creature types that represent an arthropod or gastropod or similar small land creature. at this scale that is a unique creature type. There will be other insects and other spiders and things, don't get me wrong, but to give like a sort of pseudo-tribal focus, I'm picturing this plane has the same sort of typal effects as for insects as Phyrexia had for Phyrexians. Things like color fixing lands, just little incidental effects. Because if everything buffed insects, the majority of creatures on this plane are insects, and it would just make combat annoying in draft. That being said, there are secondary creature types. I'm thinking Scorpion, Mite, the aforementioned Ooze, Saproling, Fungus, Plant, potentially even Sand might show up as an actual creature type and not just a token creature type. And then Scorpion to represent more common household scorpion-like creatures. This is what I picture the antlions will be. Additionally, we will deal with a slightly larger scale, similar to how all the creatures of Bloomburrow that were larger than like a hare or a badger were treated as these monstrous beasts. The same is true for crabs, frogs, and fish in this world. This time, these are essentially every frog is the Gitrog monster. Some of these will also have the mount type and be ridden by the small bugs. Additionally, all constructs on this plane are toys.
Great. I like
So,
that we're just going to
with
keep
that all
getting
being said,
smaller.
Yeah. Next up, we'll have a set focused on germs. What are our thoughts on the most original plane in the multiverse, Mornborough? I guess if you want to thrash my graphic design, you can do that now too.
No, I did it once for the title, and the set logo looks better than the title does. I mean, listen, I like Bloomburrow because I like little creatures. I have no large problem with this. I don't know. Like, I think it'd be interesting. I think it would probably do well because it would be cute because it's, you have all these little bugs like riding frogs and shit, and that would make money. Am I wrong, Bobby?
No, I was gonna say, I think Joe, when I was struggling to come up with what my plane was inspired by, and then you said Hollow Knight, I was like, oh, that's totally what I think my plane is more similar to Hollow Knight than this is. This seems more like a Bloomburrow type thing, and I think that's really cool. I think that having factions of bugs that fly and factions of bugs that do not fly will give you the similar problem of the Bloomburrow birds. But I think it's cool, and I don't care. I think insects is a cool place to play around in, and I don't know how they would do this, like how they would separate it from what they've done before. I think that people
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
It's very, very straightforward, you see. We make it entirely different by copying two of the most original planes in the multiverse. We take the scale of Bloomburrow, right, and the sentience of the creatures, and we put them on a plane that's just American suburbia. What this means is that we exist at the small scale. Humans don't exist on this plane. There are no humans. The humans have died out mysteriously because of the Fomori or some bullshit. It'll be explained in the set lore. So it's just been governed by these tiny bugs. Their versions of deserts are sandboxes. Their oceans are bird feeders, bird baths, bathing posts. The places where birds do take a bath sometimes when they feel like it. Things like that. There are great asphalt seas that the bugs wither and die on, otherwise known as the road. I will say it does kind of make me a little sad that we can't have Jace get hit by a car because there's no other people on this plane, but I wish that was possible. And it's just a car. Like, it's just a Ford pickup truck. So yeah, we take these two ideas and we synthesize them together and we get something unique. It's cool to see, because the thing that made Bloomburrow so cute and fun and whimsical is that the houses were rabbit houses. What happens when a bug is in a human house and we're dealing at that scale, right? Where everything on the plane isn't the scale of the creatures inhabiting it.
Ooh, okay, ready? And then the bonus sheet is Pikmin themed. They all have Pikmin skins on them.
We can finally get the Olimar card we've been waiting for in Magic the Gathering all this time.
I'll finally approve of a Universes Beyond property.
Yeah.
You had something you wanted to say about Mornborough?
I was going to say, for I think a good, I mean, there are various like narrative points of reference for like small creatures living in a larger house, like Secret Life Variety is a good one. But I was thinking about the role-playing game Household, which I'm sure Bobby will flash on the screen momentarily, is a great one because specifically for what you're talking about, where they go into the lore of like, you know, they have all these like cities in like a tub and it's like a grand ocean, and they do a similar thing of like magnifying this very large Victorian house into whole countries and areas. And like there's a Christmas tree that fell over and it is a whole forest. And there's a church in front of a fireplace, and they care about keeping the dying embers alive because the master of the house is gone. So I think that's fucking awesome. And narratively, I think Mornborough fits into that same theming that I think would work well as a Magic property. I think it would work tremendously as a Magic property, actually, because there's stuff like that just kind of like really rules and would
there's two things about that. First of all, I did actually originally include it in the pitch, but I figured it was too obscure that nobody would have a fucking clue what I was talking about except for you. So I cut it. But also, it's important to remember for this plane, this takes place in American suburbia. I'm thinking 1990s. So this lacks a lot of. I think it is vital that the aesthetic, the timeless aesthetic and vibes of a Victorian manor are erased. This is white picket fence.
Yeah.
Everything is offensively beige. Everything is. There's somewhere in the background of an art piece, we have a light switch that got the landlord treatment and was just painted over. Like, I want this to be sterile and as horrific as Duskmourn, only because, again, you are trapped in the asphalt hell that is American suburbia of copy-paste McMansions.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'd play it. I'd be excited to see the how the gameplay works out.
Yeah,
you could even make a set. You could have a tagline for the set be like, "There's not only one wasp in these woods, except for all the humans are dead, and also there's no woods." We'd workshop it a little bit. You know, maybe the wasps are white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. Who knows? The wasps haven't decided to emulate the humans that are now extinct. What killed them? Fomori? I don't fucking. Nicol Bolas, he's out. We broke him out of jail so that he could go make the worst plane ever.
I like picturing Nicol Bolas next to these, like a literal bee, because you said they don't get smaller, so just Nicol Bolas is in the sky, and these literal insects to him are he's just like unaware of them. He's like doing his own shit.
Yeah.
He killed all the humans, and he's like, malaria. These guys can stay, I don't care.
Nicol Bolas dies to malaria. Yeah.
We bring back fractions from the unset.
He gets Lyme disease.
It's funny. You might ask why no planeswalkers have decided to inhabit this plane. Like, it makes sense for Bloomburrow. Nobody wants to stick around where they're, covered in hair all the time. And the answer is they planeswalk here and went, "Wow, this place sucks," and then they left. And that's the explanation. It wasn't. That's why all the secrets of the Fomori were housed here and never uncovered. Additionally, I will say. This is what Ikoria was supposed to be also. This plane cares about small little creatures. Things like Sword of the Squeak, Pendlehaven, Best, Soul Nurturer. Those kinds of cards will make an appearance on this plane. We'll have some kind of draft archetype for like 1 power or 1 CMC or something like that. Which we've seen with like Enduring Innocence recently in Delny, the $1 William card in that set that nobody bought, except for Surveil lands. Yeah, this plane is not only possible in a world where Grist keeps getting printed with new cards, and in Commander Precons, and Zask exists, and the Swarmweaver exists, and Adachik exists, and I can keep going. There's so many fucking insect commanders these days.
Give Bobby more cards to fill the screen with.
Yeah.
Oh no, I won't be that vile and brutal to our lovely editor and co-host.
Don't ever make me look at another Aether Drift card. It doesn't exist. I refuse to believe it.
March of the World Ooze. Just start yelling them out.
I have a second March of the World Ooze. It's fucked up. I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
It's a cool card.
That being said,
I know what it does.
It's awesome.
Makes elephants.
It's cool. It's a cool card. It's
I don't believe you.
It's honestly probably the coolest card in Aether Drift.
Yeah, I think it's the best
Yeah.
card in Aether Drift. Because it's about not Aether Drift. It's about one of the planes that went through.
Muraganda, which we love and
Yes.
love.
We do.
So getting out of the way of Web Strike Elite and Molt Tender, and the Siege Rhino, that's a dung beetle. That's Mornborough. It's about bugs. I love them. I love bugs. They're my favorite in the whole wide world. Ev,
Yeah.
we talked a little bit about your plan. It kind of ties into mine a little bit in a way that nobody's going to expect.
That's correct.
Until it's put right in front of us. But my little rambling about I love bugs and refunded Hollow Knight because it was too hard within the first 45 minutes of playtime. What do you want to talk about?
I would like to talk about Jace while he inhabits Mornborough. Specifically what he does to pass his time while he's there. I think in this 1990s suburbia house, he explores and is bored out of his mind and pulls a book off of a bookshelf and begins reading the work of an author who has already been referenced in Magic's flavor text, William Shakespeare. Now, stay with me here for a second. This is not going to be a hat set, and I promise that. However, will serve as a glue set between Mornborough and another set Joe's working on in the background that I believe we've referenced on the podcast before. I think part of the most interesting part of the Tarkir story recently was when Jace and Vraska were arguing about their treatment of Loot, and Jace's use of what I believe was mind control with Loot to try and subdue him and keep him happy while he was in their care. I think that was a genuinely interesting conflict, and I think they could do more with it. And so my pitch is not necessarily a new plane, but perhaps a return to Duskmourn, as we were talking about Duskmourn previously, where instead of a large expansive house, Vraska and Loot have now become trapped in an ever-expanding play where they are the heroes and blissfully unaware of what is happening around them, controlled, of course, by Jace after whatever the fuck has happened to him, and creating an ever-expanding perfect world for them to be happy, where they are none the wiser until, of course, they are. A la, of course, WandaVision, which is one of the last Marvel properties I watched, because the deluge of product after that became too much for me to keep up with as the quality declined. But that is my general pitch. I think, specifically not musicals, as that is something that Joe wants to tackle later. But I think a set where it is this ever-expanding play where the two, of course, our two main characters are following Vraska and Loot realize that they are, in fact, trapped within a simulation is something that has been done in media before. Very Truman Show also, where it's this slowly unfolding horror of everything around me is fake. And I think that could be a very interesting thing to tackle within a Magic set, and has mechanics already built in that could be used and have been used for similar storytelling, things like the rolls from Wild of Eldraine, or even sagas, or even the cloak or the face down mechanic, again already present in Duskmourn previously, but could be used again. And so that is what I would like to pitch to you today. My pitch, admittedly, is a little shorter, but I thought it was an interesting idea after I was having trouble coming up with one, and Joe told me about the beginnings of Mornborough. And I think, again, it also serves as the glue for the other thing that Joe's working, the other thing among 7 other things that Joe's working on the side, as he does in all his free time. Bobby, this is your first time hearing about it. He is. Yeah. Bobby, this is your first time hearing about it. What do you think?
I'm really excited to play with the mono blue counter spell, to be or not to be. No, I think this. I think this world's. I think it's cool. I think it rules. I think it'll be interesting how to separate it between how some other things are done. But I think that's kind of the problem that Magic is encroaching on after 30 some years. But I'm still really excited by it. I love plays. I love Shakespeare. You got to put Tybalt's on this set because that's the coolest Shakespeare name. Tybalt's dead or something. He can come back.
Yeah, wait, didn't he die?
Well, no, Tybalt's dead, but I haven't seen WandaVision. I don't care about cape shit. I like watching art. That's all I need to end the sentiment with. But I think some dead didn't Vision die? Isn't that the point of WandaVision? The Vision was dead. Yeah, so Tybalt was dead.
The point of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tybalt becomes Vraska's love interest, and that's the point. That's the point of this plane.
Oh my god, we cannot have Cuck Jace plotline after they fucking are doing that to Spider-Man in the comics, and then they're gonna tie it into the Magic set.
Well, yeah.
No, this is gonna make every Magic the Gathering circle jerker lose their goddamn mind.
If we get Paul in the
I think
Spider-Man set, oh my god.
But yeah, I think it'd be interesting. Again, I don't know, like it would go back to the enchantment theme of Duskmourn. Also, if it takes place on that plane, like I don't know, maybe Valgavoth and new Jace, whatever the fuck is going on with him, make a pact, and so it's stored in like a pocket side of Duskmourn, and that's where the ever expanding like stages that the two of them are traveling through. I'm not sure who is going to try and rescue Vraska and Loot, like from a narrative sense, like what the conflict ends up being. That's where I mean, there's the conflict of them figuring out it's like, again, Truman Show-esque, but
I think it could just be Vraska is like saving herself and Loot. I think that's really interesting. But also I think it's really interesting to realize, like, how did they end up in here? Oh, Jace made this pact with Valgavoth. Like, Valgavoth, what he gets out of it is I finally get to use Loot as my map to lure more people into my house so I can eat them. And Jace gets to have a place to put his kid he doesn't want to deal with. I think it's cool having Jace as a villain, and, well, he's off in Mornborough watching old VHS tapes of Twin Peaks. Vraska and Loot are living through 4 versions of King various King plays, who knows what, that are really boring and no one reads. Yeah, I'd be interested. I wonder, Ev, how do you think it ties in? Is it just Shakespeare, or are we going like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
I am admittedly much less familiar with stage plays than both of you. So I figured I'd leave that. It's true. Like you guys are
the 2 English majors,
writing major respectively. And I have no issue with plays. I like them, but I don't like read them in my spare time. So I figured we'd work together. I think it should be expansive past Shakespeare, though. I cannot name where, because again, I don't have a ton of play knowledge. But I think that it should expand past just the canonizing Shakespeare magic past flavor text. Maybe not canonizing, but you know what I mean.
Oh my god. Henrik Ibsen, what the fuck did he write? What's that really iconic? A Doll's House.
Yeah.
A Doll's House.
Yep.
Comes to mind immediately for me. Maybe a little different. But it is actually, it's pretty damn close. I don't think we do any like Albie. I don't think we do any like
how do we get birds into
like
the
that?
Set? We got seagulls. That's great. Like 3 people laughed at the joke, but they laughed really hard, so it's fine.
I was gonna say, do I need to mention Uncle Vanya, or am I gonna be taken out back and shot for being the most obscure, pretentious asshole at the Magic the Gathering podcast?
The last 2 minutes of references have just gone completely over my head. I'm so sorry, my friend.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
How do we get Everyman into
this?
It's
okay. Yeah, how can we? That's true. How can we get Everyman?
Everyman is a 5-color legend that cares about dying or something.
It's a changeling.
No, it's gotta bring something into the graveyard. Like, you know how Rayhan has counters into the command zone? It's like if this dies, it keeps its auras or something on it.
For everybody at home, I was in a production of Everyman. I was Everyman. Ev came and saw it.
I did.
Bobby's read the play.
Yeah.
I just actually found my script the other day, and I was like,
awesome.
Christ, I don't remember a word of this. Probably one of the plays I've been in of all time.
Yeah, bad show. Don't.
If you get a chance to audition for it, if you have fun, you can have fun. Yeah. Cool plane. I love theater. I love Jace. I love Vraska. I love Loot. I do think there is something interesting. I think there should be a second. Don't call me on that. I've bought more Loot merch than you have. I think there is actually kind of an interesting perspective. I think there should be somebody who's trying to save Vraska, but I think it should almost be a secondary protagonist way, where somebody's like Vraska figures it out Truman Show style, or even the Good Place style.
Yeah, true. Also a good point of reference for this. I mean, I've also seen the Truman Show, but I do like the Good Place quite a bit.
But the Good Place is the one that you like a lot, which is why I called it out for you. But I do think it'd be cool if like somebody like comes in and is like, Vraska, this is all a dream, and she's like, yeah, I know, help me out with this, and then they like fuck off, and then Vraska has to figure out the rest of it. And is doing it. I also like the idea of a twist reveal. My bet was gonna say Kaido. Kaido was my answer.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna like Kellen. Kellen already kind of knows Vraska.
Kellen can work.
Yeah, kinda.
But he's also really boring. So.
Okay.
Oh, what about wait, no. What about Oh no. No, never mind. I take it back. I forgot. What's the name of Kellen's love interest?
No, Amalia is not common. Why would Amalia just be there?
Well, because she has the. I think about like the map power and being able to break.
She does have the map power, which is nice.
Yeah,
sure.
I was thinking about being able to break through illusions by navigating it that way and being able to find Vraska, but it's a stretch.
Maybe Grist is there.
Maybe Grist is there.
Maybe we just put Grist in everything.
Yeah.
I do also like our big dumb himbo boy. That we love him. We love him so much. Tyvar.
Yep.
Tyvar would also
like Tyvar being there.
Yeah.
I loved Tyvar was so good in the Duskmourn story.
It'd be so fun to have like a Tyvar exclusive set where like he has to solve a mystery and it's just him.
Really,
like he doesn't have any help from Zimone or anybody.
He shows up in Tybalt's back and he's pissed.
That would be such a good tie-in. Oh my god.
But they have to do like a buddy cop thing to try and save Vraska.
Yeah, and Tybalt's doing it to save himself, to like get himself back to life. He's like, if we break out of here as my psychic ghost version, like we can do it.
Yeah.
And I think the idea is it should be a twist villain where it's like, oh, Valvagoth's been doing this. This is so crazy. Oh my god, it's Valvagoth. And at the very end, it's uncovered like, oh shit, Jace brokered the deal. Yeah. Jace was the one. Evil Jace moment. Read Agents of Artifice.
That's like the third evil Jace moment we've gotten in the last couple of stories. Yeah. Everyone's like, Jace, you did it again. It's like a Scooby-Doo reveal, but it's like, Jace.
Shocking no one it was Jace mask. I just want to go on official record and say it is the official stance of this podcast that we do not love loot. This is blasphemy.
I'm only speaking not even for myself. I'm channeling somebody else. I don't know why I said that. I will still continue to buy merch with Loot's face on it because I hate that little fucking gremlin and I want every opportunity to kick and punch it.
You can use him like a piñata. Fill him with candy and beat him to death.
Official stance of the podcast is that me and my friends would have beat Loot to death with hammers, I'll tell you what. Okay, I think that is our time. That's about time. We are running out. So, thank you all, everybody, for listening to our deranged pitches following Bobby's very eloquent prose.
I was so ready. I came in, I was like, okay, serious set design. We've had this episode on the books for a few weeks. We've been prepping. And then I was met with...
did prep.
Yeah, fair.
I spent weeks. I spent weeks on that logo design.
I did less prep, but I thought about it.
Yeah. No, we
all thought
I'd be
about
excited
it.
for all these.
I would honestly be excited for all of these that were shared in the last 66% of the episode.
Hey, we thought more about these three sets than Wizards thought about Thunder Junction.
True. Maybe Wizards thought a lot about Thunder Junction. They just came away with the worst conclusions possible. With that being said, we do have some upcoming content stuff that we've been foreshadowing, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. Stay tuned for Boglets. That's what we're calling our YouTube shorts. And also, again, we do have a Thunder Junction video essay in the works. I edited some of the script last night. That all being said, please, we do ask. Engagement's been great. We love you guys. We love our repeat listeners. We have some ups and downs. That's natural. Some of our worst episodes, maybe even including this one, are going to get less attention than some of our best. That being said, if you would please, I would say I hate doing this to seem lovable and relatable, but I love promoting myself. I love saying that I'm the greatest content creator on the internet. I love saying that my friends are witty and talented people who create some of the best content that you'll ever see, including the outro music, which is going to play very shortly. So please, do reward less so me, because a lot of work goes in that these two lovely co-hosts handle. But
It's
also,
mostly Bobby.
you run social media.
Yeah, sure.
But also, please support me because I love being supported. Please support me. Be the base of my pyramid. By liking, commenting, subscribing, and pressing the notification buttons on this channel. Additionally, we have a Spotify. If you like listening to things on Spotify, please be our third Spotify listener for this week. It could be you. That could be pretty crazy. And if you're over there, please do any subscribing or following, anything you can do with that. And also rate our podcast. Give it 5 stars. If you don't want to give it 5 stars, maybe you should go listen to like Tap Tap Concede or something instead of giving it a bad review. Additionally, we have an Instagram and a Blue Sky. Follow them, like them, share them, anything you want to do on there. Don't make accounts for big meta, but do make an account for Blue Sky because any hammer in the nail of Twitter, nail in the coffin that you hammer of Twitter is good.
Joe, they're putting a cane around your neck and they're pulling you off stage. I think it's time to wrap it up for the episode.
As I'm being torn off stage with a cane around my throat by my podcast co-host because of the frantic, nervous, sweaty energy that I'm exuding in this 97-degree heat. We love you all very much. We're very thankful for every repeat listener that you make up. Please, everybody, take care of yourselves, love each other, enjoy Magic the Gathering, shuffle up and play with your friends. And until next time, we'll see you around.
Play us out. Bogstompers, a Magic the Gathering podcast, features art by Jay Howley. You can find him at The Howley on Instagram. Our theme song is written by Alicia Chapman. Bobby Fasciano edits these and gets them online. Hey, that's me. None of this would be possible without viewers like you, so thank you, and see you in the bog again very soon. Peace.